Welcome to our automotive design class. My name is Argüden and I will be your instructor. After Harley Earl started the first styling department at General Motors, more other companies started following through with their own design departments. So to me, Marcello Gandini is the grandmaster of car design. Like if I could have dinner with any car designer in the world, I would choose him. He passed away a couple years ago as well. And he's mainly known as the master of the wedge. So a wedge is a shape kind of like a triangle. You can see it on the top right there. It's very sharp in the front and it gets wider as it goes to the back. And it was a definitive shape of that era, but Marcello Gandini designed the most famous examples of it. So Lancia Stratos Zero concept is just as iconic as the Ferrari Modulo I talked about in the previous slide. It still looks like a spaceship, I think. I mean, just if you look at it, that window graphic is so unique. And it was an extremely low car as well. He designed the Lamborghini Countach. He designed the Lamborghini Miura, which I think is one of the most beautiful cars. An interesting fact about Lamborghini Miura is that he wanted to have these elongated headlamp, round but elongated ellipses, right? And because of cost reasons, they had to use a headlamp from a different car, an affordable car, and in order to fit that piece into that elongated ellipse, he created those black pieces at the top of the headlamp. And those eyelids are basically one of the most famous design features of Miura, but it was created purely for cost reasons. But Marcello, that I think shows his genius as well. In order to make an innovation and actually improve a customer's life, you need to have that critical mindset always by looking at things in a critical way and thinking about how you can make them better. So I think that's what makes Apple such a great design company. And a designer's job is not just to make things beautiful. So I refuse the idea that designers are stylists. So now let's draw a form in this perspective. First, I'm gonna construct this form on the side view. So I'm gonna fit it into 3 boxes. So I'm just gonna draw 3 boxes of the same size. Again, I can use the foreshortening method here to make sure that the boxes are the same size. So I'm gonna find the center of that box by making an X, and then I'm gonna draw a line that goes through that, and then I'm gonna connect these points with a line, and that's gonna give me the same length. I'm gonna do that again by connecting these points here. All right, so let me make a form that kind of looks like I guess like a ski ramp or like a skate park ramp or something. So this is my form from the side view. Now, if I wanted to draw this in perspective, I'm just gonna transfer some points over as reference. So this form basically peaks right in the middle of this box, so that point is like right here. And then it starts, going down a little bit behind the end of this box, somewhere in here. And then it goes up a little bit, and then it peaks, not exactly at the corner, but a little bit below that corner, right? So I'm gonna just connect those dots. All right. I can do that same point transfer on the other side. So this one, actually first let me find the middle of this box. So these are not really that accurate, these drawings, but hopefully you get the point of it. And then it peaks somewhere around there. So I'm gonna connect those points and go up there. and I connect these points to get that back edge. Again, I'm gonna use line weight just to show, because we have so many lines on the page, it's really hard to see what I'm actually trying to show. So I'm just gonna go over these lines. So there I transferred this form properly in perspective. Okay. So using this method, we can actually sketch a car as well. So let's look at a full-size sedan, and this is a rear-wheel drive full-size sedan. Now this is basically made more for passenger luxury, right? So this rear space is quite a lot bigger. So the wheelbase is quite stretched actually on this one, as opposed to the previous ones. This is almost 3.5 wheels in the wheelbase. Again, because it's a rear-wheel drive platform, they're able to push this front wheel as forward as they can. So the front overhang is quite short, it's about a half a wheel, and the rear overhang is about a full wheel size. And because of that, again, these cars also have a lot of dash to axle. Again, this dash to axle is what gives these cars that premium look. And the roof height is actually a little bit higher on this one compared to the mid-size we looked. That's because these cars are, geared more towards passenger comfort. So there's a little bit more roof height. So if we look at a sports car, and particularly a Grand Tourer, a GT, these cars are gonna have really huge wheels because bigger wheels always look better, okay? And designers always want bigger wheels. And with these cars, affordability is usually not an issue, so they're able to use large size wheels. And again, that's my base measurement is bigger than the hatchback, right? But the wheelbase is actually in proportion it's a little bit shorter because it's a little less than 3 wheels. And the overhangs are usually quite balanced in this segment. So the front and the rear are about the same size, but that could change based on the model. A really defining factor of this segment is that the roof is really slammed, right? So these cars are really low, that helps them become aerodynamic, and it just looks a lot more sporty, a lot more dynamic. One term that I haven't mentioned before is the H point. The H point is basically, it would be right here where my cursor is on this car, and it's the point where the passenger's butt basically touches the seat. And a whole interior layout and package of the car is determined by the H point. And these sports cars, they're able to get the H point much lower, which helps them make the roof line a lot lower as well. But also there's a bit of a sacrifice, so it's usually more cramped in a sports car because that dynamic look and the aerodynamics play a much bigger role. So the roof is really slammed. Again, one of the top 2 important features of proportion of this segment is the dash to axle. So Grand Tourers usually have some of the longest dash to axles, and that's what gives them that really premium look. I mean, you can notice this dash to axle being really long, right? Like for example, a Jaguar E-Type is, I think, one of the most beautiful cars, and it has just a ridiculous amount of dash to axle. I mean, I think it's like this long or something, and it just looks so dramatic and so beautiful. This one is a school project I did, and it was I called it Mercedes Aerolite, and my inspiration for this was my favorite animal, which is a harpy eagle. So I started with basically researching the bone structure of that eagle. So actually all birds have pneumatic bones. So they have like hollow bones, and if you really zoom into it, they kind of look like this. That helps them have like a really lightweight bone structure, but they're also really stiff so that they can fly because of that. And this was a concept car, so it might actually be really expensive to actually produce this, but with a concept car you want to showcase your creativity, right? And with rapid prototyping, you can basically build a chassis that mimics that pneumatic structure. So I started with the chassis by taking inspiration from the skeleton of of the eagle. And then I also wanted to give this car a very aerodynamic shape. And I looked at the eagle. And I actually went in there and drew all the different forms when it flies to take inspiration from. And the diving pose is probably the most aerodynamic shape. So you can see how I tried to transform that into a car. So that doesn't only give this car the dynamicism of an eagle, but it actually it can help its aerodynamics as well. Because nature basically is the result of millions of years of research and development, right? So there's still a lot that we can learn from nature. And this is the final result. Basically, you can see the face of the eagle here, like the beak, and the whole car basically has an airflow similar to a diving eagle. So I want this to look technical, so I'm gonna, and like pixelated look, so I'm gonna pick my hard brush. Now if I hold shift, and this is my delete eraser, okay, if I hold shift, it's gonna make a perfectly straight line, right? So I'm just trying to kind of make those gaps kind of equal. And holding shift again to make it straight, completely straight, because it would be hard to do that by hand. And I want this thing to look like really technical, right? Kind of like a pixel. And I'm gonna do that sideways as well. Maybe a little bit bigger eraser, just to get that gap looking right. And this left side is a little bit too thin compared to the other, so I can go with M again for the marquee tool. Select that part and hit Control T or Command T to transform it. And I can, if I just do this, it's gonna not change the proportion, but if I hold shift as I'm transforming it, I can just change one side of that proportion. So there I have it. And because I did it with the straight deleting it, it doesn't have the kind of, it needs to lay back a little bit, right? So I'm gonna again Control T. This is all on the same layer, right? So Control T, and now by holding Command or Control, I can skew just one edge of this, like that a little bit. And this is actually gonna be a little bit behind, so it would kind of, you would, because of perspective, you would see it more like that, okay? Now I can, with M again, I can copy paste this, so Command C, Command V to copy paste. Move it to this side. Again, this is still in transform mode, and I can hold Command again or hold Control on PC and just move this side to adjust the perspective of it, okay?